Welcome to this session on photo editing fun on the iPad. This is essentially a discussion of simple apps that you can use on the iPad to enhance your photos. Okay, this is me taking some photos. I'm not really a very good photographer, so I've always relied on photo editing applications to fix my photos. There are a myriad of photo editing apps for the iPad. Some of them are famous, such as Photoshop or iPhoto. And there are a lot of fun apps available as well. These apps are easy to use, and you can get some very great effects with them. I teach the iPad to seniors, and I have a photo editing class. When I was choosing apps for my photo editing class, the number one criteria was that they be easy to use. Some of them are general purpose, and a few of them are more specific. And all of them are either free or nominally priced. The first app I'm going to talk about is the built-in Photos app. Okay. With this app, you can do some minimal photo editing. You can crop, rotate, have some filters. There's a one-button enhancement as well. But there also is a good red eye fix. And I did want to mention when I show you the next slide that there is a different approach to saving the photo with this app. When you open your photo on the full screen, you go into the edit mode, and here you've selected red eye. And it gives you some information on the bottom that says to tap each red eye one time, and if you're happy with the results, you keep it. Otherwise, you tap again and you can undo it. There is an apply button. I'm going to try the arrow. Let's hope that works. There it is. Let me get it. Okay. The apply button at the top will save your changes. One of the things that I said is that the Photos app is different than most other photo editing apps in that it does not create a new version of the photo. It actually replaces the original photo. But at any time when you're looking at a photo that was edited with the Photos app, you can go ahead and revert back to the original. Okay. So the image is replaced, but it can be reverted. The next app is called Photo Toaster. And this is pretty much a general purpose photo app. And like most photo apps, you get a screen where you choose your photo from your library, or you can take a photo with your camera. And it has many features, but the best part of this app is that it has a huge number of one-touch filters. And it's very easy to use. You open the app, you get a view of all your photo albums, and you select the photo you want to edit. There are sliders available where you can make adjustments to the exposure or the contrast, etc. And you can see over here that I've adjusted the exposure. But the main reason for this app is that it has many filters that are essentially one-touch filters. You touch a thumbnail and apply the filter. There are basic filters, and you can actually scroll through. There are really more than I could fit on this slide. There are deluxe filters, supreme filters, and if there's some that you like a lot, you can save them to a list of presets. Here is an example of a photo on the left and two different filters that I applied with Photo Toaster. The next app is a very good general purpose app, and it allowed me to take that picture and turn it into that picture. Snapseed has some basic photo editing functions such as cropping, straightening and rotating, and tuning the image. But it also has some advanced functions available, such as HDR Scape, which transforms your photo. It has a selective adjust, so you can make adjustments to just parts of the photo. And it has a nice center focus. The best feature of Snapseed is the compare button, which will show you what the photo will look like with the change and what it looked like before the change. So when you open Snapseed, you select a photo from the camera or the photo library, or you can always paste an image. There is a good deal of help available for this app because Snapseed was bought out by Google. In addition, there is a feature which allows you to put a little overlay over your screen, as shown here, that will give you pointers to the different parts of the screen if you want to know how to do something, what each of them means. So again, here was that bad photo that I like to use because if the photo editing app can fix this photo, it's probably pretty good. So here I'm illustrating the HDR Scape, which is an advanced transformation, and all I did was just start it up and it immediately changed the photo to something that was a lot easier to see. Now, Snapseed is showing a slider on the bottom of the screen. However, that slider is not actually where you slide. The way Snapseed works is you have to put your finger on the photo and slide left to right, and then the slider will change. Here is an example of some of the tuning options. When you put your finger on the photo to slide, if you slide left to right, you're changing, in this case, the contrast. But if you slide up and down, you select another option for tuning, such as brightness, ambience, etc. And the compare button at the bottom, as I said, you touch the compare button, it'll show you what the photo looked like before you made the change and what it looks like now. And when you're happy, you can apply the change. Here is an example of the selective adjust. What I did was I added a point where you see the B on the photo. That means I'm going to just adjust that portion of the photo. And I'm going to make it brighter. So if I go back to the other slide, you can see this is how it looked originally. And that's how it looked after I just adjusted that portion of the photo. And there are many, many other features with this app, and I would recommend it highly. Okay, Retouch HD is an app that allows you to take that first picture and turn it into the second one. And it essentially has two functions. The first function is to remove part of a photo. And it gives you two tools to remove it. There's a lasso tool and there is a brush tool. The second function is the cloning function, which allows you to clone part of the photo. And there is a straight clone, or you can do a clone with a flip, left to right, up or down, etc. When you open Retouch HD, it's a very simple interface. You open a photo from what they call the gallery, which is your photo library. And or you can use a camera to take a new photo. They also have, you can see some tutorials, and the tutorials can be very helpful, although this is a very, very simple app to learn, as you will see on the next screen. Okay, this is a photo that I like to use to illustrate removing part of the photo with. I will say that the app works very well. However, it does work better when the background is simpler. So in this photo, I'm going to remove the bowl of sour cream. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this lasso tool. Let's hope the arrow will work again. Oops. Oh. It got stuck. Well, we'll have to do it without the arrow. Okay. The lasso tool is on the bottom. It's the first tool at the bottom of the screen. And essentially, you draw a circle around the object that you want to remove. And it highlights what it's going to remove. When you're satisfied, the fifth button on the bottom that looks like a forward-facing triangle is the Go button. And when you touch the Go button, you can see that the bowl of sour cream is removed. However, you may have noticed that the spoon from the bowl is still there. So to remove the spoon, I'm going to use the brush tool, which is the second tool on the bottom. So I went here and I brushed the spoon. And you can notice that behind the spoon, there is a little white stripe on the wall. And let's see how this app does with that white stripe. So now you're ready to go ahead and touch that Go button, the fifth button on the bottom. And you can see the spoon is removed, and I think it did a very good job on keeping that white border intact. So that is the removing part of this app. Now the second function is the cloning. So you might be getting a little hungry by looking at this plate of potato pancakes, and you want to add some more. So what you do is on the bottom menu, the next to last button is the clone button. When you touch that button, you notice there is a double circle on the screen. That's the area that you want to clone from. So you put your finger on that circle and you can move it anywhere on the screen that you want to clone from. Then you simply take your finger and start drawing on the area where you want to add the pancakes. And we've just added many more pancakes to this plate. I said that we can also do a clone with a flip. And I'm using this photo to illustrate how you can do a left to right flip. So essentially, you touch the clone button on the bottom of the screen, and when you do that, you may notice there's another menu that pops up above it. And the third button on that menu is the flip, which puts still another menu that's shown in the middle of the screen. And that menu allows you to choose a left to right flip, an up and down, a diagonal, etc. So you position the clone where you want to start cloning from. And then you go to the other side of the screen and you see how you can start drawing, and it is cloning that image and it's flipping it. And Yui, I think we're coming to the end, and this is the finished product, the end of this, not the presentation. I have, because there are so many photos, I had to make 2 separate PowerPoints. So this is the finished product with the letter. Okay, the next app I'm going to show you is very, very involved. It's called Snap Collage. Get my notes up. Okay. It's an app that allows you to create collages, but it has a lot of features, including a lot of photo editing features as well. When you open Snap Collage, you get a view of your albums on the bottom, and then at the top is the frame for your collage. You open the albums and select the photos you want to put in the collage. As you choose photos, the layouts at the top of the screen change to include the number of photos that you have selected. And again, the top of the screen is a scroll. There are many more layouts that are shown on this screen. Okay, for this collage, I've selected 3 photos. So you can see the top of the screen has collage layouts for 3 photos. And when I'm finished and I've selected a pretty basic layout here, 1 large photo and 2 small photos. So this is just the starting point. And one of the first things you may notice that the large picture with the ship has a cone in it. And I really do want to get that cone out of the picture. And I could do it by repositioning that photo. So what I need to do on my iPad essentially is the same thing you do to make things larger and move things around on the internet, etc., is put 2 fingers into the picture and spread it out and move it around. So this was the original one, and this was the repositioned photo. And you could do that with any of the photos you've selected. Now I touch one of the individual photos to start showing you the many, many individual photo edits that are available in Snap Collage. You're first taken to a screen that has many shapes, so you can change the shape around the photo. I generally keep it as it was because you already have the frames set up when you select your layout. On the left side at the bottom, there's a toolbar, and the top row of the toolbar is where you can first change the photo. If you say, I don't really want this photo, I want something else for my library, so it allows you to go back to your library and choose a new photo. Or you can flip it left to right or up and down. The second row has a camera icon, which, as you might expect, allows you to take another picture with your camera and put that in place of this photo. And you also can rotate the photo. On the bottom row, the last 2 icons are other icons that allow you to reposition the photo. But the icon that has a box with a pencil in it is the icon that gets you to the individual photo edits. So when I touch that icon, oh, yes, I see one question. You can move the photos when we get back to the big screen, you can reposition, touch and hold one photo and move it into a different position so you can flip them. Okay, so this is the individual photo screen of edits, excuse me. And at the bottom, you can see a list of many different edits that you had. So we'll start with the first one, which is the effects, which has many different effects. It's essentially you touch the one you want and you see how it looks. If you're happy with the edit, you touch the apply button and the edit is applied. If you're not happy, you just go back to the editor. And you also go back to the editor to get to the next edit. The next edit is some focus. So here you can set the focus. You can set it with a circle or a rectangle. And this edit has some enhancements, some high def or color fixing. The next edit is where you can adjust the individual brightness, contrast, and it essentially is, you can see, a big slider. You select the thing that you want to adjust and just slide it. This is an interesting edit called Splash, and what it does is it makes the photo black and white, and then you take your finger and start drawing on the parts of the photo that you want to colorize. You can draw on the photo, so you essentially select a color and a size of the brush and just draw over the photo. There's also an eraser if you make a mistake, and at any time you just don't apply if you don't want to keep what you've done. You can add text to the individual photo, but you can also add text over the whole collage, which I prefer to do, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And now I'm back to the main screen again. And you can go ahead and select another photo and do whatever editing you want to do. And as I mentioned before, if you wanted to switch the position of the photos, you touch and hold one and drag it into the position you want to switch it with. Now we're going to work on the borders of the collage. So at the bottom of the screen, you would touch the border icon. And we have a pretty busy toolbar here. It's set right now to frame. So you can select a frame for the collage. And another thing you can do is at the left side on the bottom of the screen, you can change the ratio to make it a square or 2x3 or even a Facebook banner. Now here I'm going to show you what those little sliders do. The first slider changes the background of the background border and makes it larger. If I go back, you'll see it got much larger. The next slider will change the frame around each individual photo and make it larger or smaller. The third slider rounds the corners. I don't have a picture of the fourth slider, that's drop shadow, but there's just so much in this app that after a while it can get to be overkill. Okay, here I'm showing the frame. I've selected a frame, and again, this is a frame for the whole collage, and they have many choices. You can scroll through them. Now we're going to work on coloring the border, and down at the bottom menu, it says BG, which means what we're doing now is just going to affect the background of the collage. So there is a color picker, and you select a family of colors and then touch the color that you want, and it will change the color of the background. You've probably noticed that there are also patterns, and there are many, many more than you see here. So you just touch one of the patterns, and we've changed the pattern of the outer border. Now here, we're going to work on the border around the individual photo. So first you can either change the color or you can change the pattern. Okay, I think we did enough with borders. I kind of changed this around because I like these patterns a little better. And the next icon on the bottom says text. So this is adding text to the whole collage. So you type your text in, you get your keyboard, and now you can make changes to the text. You can change the style, the color, the font, etc., and move it around where you want it on your collage. So here is how it looks a little bit prettier this way. And there are also stickers you can add. There are some free stickers and there are some paid stickers. I guess that's more for if you're doing something for children, but we can add stickers to your collage. And the last thing in this app is the save, as I didn't mention that most photo editing apps have something similar to this, where you can save your photo to your camera roll, put it on Instagram, Facebook, email it, etc. So that's Snap Collage. Now the next app is called Superimpose, and it allows you to, excuse me, superimpose one part of a photo onto a different background. And this was the first one that I did with this app. On the left, you can see that's my daughter and her husband and her 3 boys, and the 4th boy doesn't really belong there. He was just at the picture. So when I used this, I was able to remove him from the photo, and I superimposed them on the beach. So Superimpose allows you to layer 2 photos. You create a mask of the foreground. They have a magic wand tool that works similar to a magic wand, does quick edits. There's a brush and an eraser, which I'll show you what they do. You can also save the mask, which is very useful because sometimes it does take a little time to work on this app and you don't want to have to do it again. And load in a new background. And then you position the mask on the background and resize it as needed. So when you open this app, essentially the first thing you're doing is loading a background, and it's bringing up my albums, and you select a photo you want for your background. And I usually choose something pretty simple to start with because it's easier to see what you're doing. And now I've loaded the foreground image. And that's how it starts out. Now I'm going to show you, there is the magic wand tool. Both the magic wand, the eraser, and the brush tool allow you to adjust the size of the brush. So that's what the slider is for. So when I use the magic wand, here is the first cut. And you can see that I took out a lot of the background that I didn't want. In some cases, I took out a little too much. And in some cases, I didn't take out enough. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's essentially 4 different areas. And this is the transform area where you can move the photo around and in this case, make it larger so it's easier to work with. Then you go to the mask area and you fix the photo using the brush and the eraser. The brush will take out more of the background, more of the background of the top photo, and the eraser will put back if you've taken too much away. I recommend when you use this app or any app of this kind to use a stylus. It's a lot easier than your finger because you're doing a little finer work. And then you can just work on other areas. And when you're done, there's a menu at the top which allows you to save this mask to the library, so I can use it at any time in the future. And this is really a great feature. And this shows you I have some other masks saved if I wanted to load a new mask, which I'll show you in a moment. So here I have my photo, and I went to the top menu and loaded in a new background photo. And it looks a little strange because his feet are cut off. So what you need to do is go to the transform button, make it a little larger, and move that foreground around. And this is how it looks when it's positioned. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, if you want, go back and change the background. And there we have it in Paris. And as I said before, you also have masks that are saved. So I can go up and find a different mask, and we can put Yui in Paris as well. There are also on the last tab some filters, and you could apply these filters to either the background or the foreground. The top of the screen, there's an F for the foreground and a B for the background. And here I'm doing a little blur, showing a blur on the background. And here I'm making the foreground brighter. And you can adjust the colors and the saturation. Okay, so that's pretty much Superimpose, which I've used for a long time. And just recently, I found another app that does a similar thing. Actually, there are many, many apps in the App Store that do this. This happens to be from Adobe. So I thought I would try this one out. And this is called Adobe Photo Mix. And in this app, essentially you start with the foreground and you cut out the part of the photo that you want to use. So here is a first cut. And again, I have not cut out enough because I've lost his arms and his face. So down at the bottom, essentially, you may see there's that little smart tool. And what you do is you draw over the area that you want to cut out. And then there's the next button says add, and you can add into this. So I've added a little bit too much. And then I would just go in, and the button that says add also has a minus sign associated with it. And that will allow you to get rid of some more of the background. And this is pretty much the mask I've created here. And then there are some help tips at the top. It's a little hard to see, but it's pointing to another box with a plus sign, which will take you to your photo library so you can add in your background. And here I've added in the background and I've repositioned it. And you can see that this app works pretty much the same way as as Superimpose. Just a little bit of a different approach. Okay, so I think that's all that I have right now. Okay, this will show you the prices, or I should say the current prices. As you all know, apps for the iPad are constantly changing prices. Photo Toaster used to have a free version, so I actually stopped teaching that to the class because we wanted to have mostly free apps. But all the other apps you can see are either free or 99 cents. And we'll see if we have some time for questions. We may have a few moments if we want to attempt to show some of these things on the actual iPad.
I'm waiting to see if anybody types in a question. I don't see any at this point.
Yeah.
Somebody is typing.
Oh, wait, we're getting...
Well, we got one typing a question in. Let's see what it is. We've got about 10 minutes left. Or we can just end it, either way.
It doesn't matter, whatever, if anyone wants to. What is useful for print? I generally don't print photos in the house. If I wanted to print a photo, I would put it on some kind of a flash drive and take it to one of the places that have a professional printer. Nowadays, most of the time, people will use photos online, although I did see an app on TwitPad. If you send me an email, there was some app that they recommended for printing
Yeah.
photos.
I think in the long run, it's
head.
cheaper to take it to Walgreens or one of the printing places than it is to print it yourself. If you start looking at the special paper that you should have for a nice print, or the ink that you're using up while you're doing it, in the long run, you're better off just taking it somewheres. And if you put it on a flash drive, they generally can do it right there while you're waiting. Alan's doing a follow-up question. Anybody else have any questions, please type it in. One thing, while he's doing that, one thing I noticed in the Collage program, we're trying to work on a collage of some sort for a Facebook page, and it looks like that would be better than most of what I've seen in the PC world, and I'm sure there's probably some programs in the Mac world as well that can do it, but they're so much harder to do than what it appears that we could do using this on an iPad.
Demonstrating AirPrint. Yeah. As I said, I personally do not print many things from my iPad. I really, most of the time, I would just send it to my computer and do it from there. I don't know if you want to show that Snap Collage program or attempt to
we've only got about 5 minutes. We can try it. If it doesn't work, we'll just end the session. Let's see what we can do here.
Yeah, I just came up as I must have touched the wrong place. Okay, this is the Snap Collage screen, and I'm just going to quickly select a few photos. I'm not sure what they are, and just pick up. And essentially, one of the things somebody mentioned, I'm going to take this photo, I'm going to put my finger on that photo and move it to the middle. And you could see you can, of course, reverse it. And again, this was not a very good layout, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how that works. The border feature, as you could see, this is these little sliders. We'll change the borders. And this was the Facebook thing you mentioned. So this kind of, I guess, is that the size of a Facebook banner that, that you would use. And I can still move these photos around. I'm not even sure which photo I have there. And there are just so many things that you can do with this app. As I said, you can add all kinds of frames around this photo, anything that you want, or just no frame at all. And if you want to go to the colors, you can just pick a color. And I'm changing the background color. Then when I go ahead and you can see touch the border here, this would bring me to the frame border. And I'll just go through, here's just a number of the patterns, and we'll just pick a pattern for the frames. And it's just as simple as that. You can really have a lot of fun with this. When I teach it in the class, this is the last program that I show, and everybody makes a collage, and then we have a whole slideshow of all the collages, and the students are pretty happy with that. And the individual, if you go to the individual photos, you can see you can change the shapes very, very easily. And here are just some of the photo edits. Let me show you that splash. So here I made the photo black and white, and I can just color in the parts of the photo. This is not showing up. There we go. Color the sky. There it is. And I'm just drawing with my finger for now. I don't have my stylus handy. So it's just amazing that, especially this is a free app, that allows you to do so many different things with this little thing. And, you know, the filters are really nice. The effects, you can change them pretty quickly. And you can do this for any of the photos. So essentially, I don't know if there's anything else anybody would like to see. I can't.
Yeah, Sheila, Joe would like a list of the programs. So what I'd like to do is go back to the slideshow and put up the list of all of the programs, and they could do a screenshot.
Sure.
Or I'm not sure how else we could do it. So
okay, do I?
And there they are.
Yeah, this is the list. There's all the list of the programs that I showed. And there are just so many. I mean, every day there are more and more things to try out. But as I said, the main function that I like to use is to do something that's very easy for students to learn. So that's why I selected these. Although I do superimpose, I generally don't teach in the class because that's a little bit more important.
All right, Joe did get them. So, and I hope everybody else wrote them down. I know I want to try that Snap Collage. I use a collage program I bought a few years ago, and it's pretty much outdated, and it does a lot of things on its own, and you don't have the control that this seems to have. Even though it's on an iPad, it looks like it's going to be easier than anything I've used. So I'm looking forward to playing with that. All right.
Yes, some of these apps. Yeah. Just one quick thing. Some of these apps are also available, like Snapseed on the computer or Android, etc.